Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door, and I'm here with something I've never done before, a video game review. I just finished Far Cry 3, and I wanted to give some quick thoughts on it. Um, and I probably not going to make this too long because I don't have a ton to say about it. Um, I should also change the light to reflect my grade. Yeah. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. Why did I give it a 7 out of 10? And why didn't I give it a perfect score? Um, well, if I were grading this game on how it was before the secondary villain, well, I mean, this is a spoiler. I'm gonna be spoiling this. Um, if I were rating the game, if the campaign ended after Voss's death, I'd probably give this an 8, but the second, an 8 or a 9, because I did legitimately enjoy a ton of the missions. There were standout missions like the one where you're listening to a Bob Marley song with like dubstep and you're burning up the wheat fields. I thought that was a really fun mission, lots of explosions, a lot of fun combat. For the most part, I found the combat pretty satisfying. Um, the headshots really resonated in the gameplay. Um, I like Voss as a villain. I do. I may not think he's one of the best video game villains or the best voice acted, but he has a lot of charisma. He's very upbeat, and I like that. I like that they didn't choose to make it such a super serious villain. They realized what game they were doing. I don't much care for the main villain who ends up being the main villain, and that's what I mean. This game kind of goes a little bit downhill in the second island portion, where you end up flying to another island after killing Voss. And it really kind of just becomes oh, we're just shooting everything. And the second bit of the game became really unfair in the difficulty curve that it had. Um, and I was like a bit annoyed by that. Um, the difficulty curve was so bad that I ended up having to replay the mission where you're blowing up the gas depot multiple times. I was playing this game on story mode because I'm not good with these types of games where it's like, oh, you get shot like 4 times and then you die. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that's fun. I think it's annoying game design. Um, but again, I would have given the game an 8 or a 9 if it had finished at Voss, because the extra 4 or 5 hours of the game makes it go on for way too long. When you have a game like this where pretty much all of the main gameplay is shooting, I understand it's a first person shooter. They could have also done more with vehicle combat, but not really much is done with it. And apparently, from what I hear in the sequels, there is a bit more of that. Um, like you could have had like a boat battle, like in GTA 5, there were like a couple boat battles or races. Um, Maybe don't put in mandatory races since it's not a racing game and it won't have probably won't have the best engine. The combat again felt very nice. Headshots really resonate. Decent blood effects for the time. This game at many points looks a lot better than GTA 5, which came out 2 years after. Um, the stealth, there were a couple missions where you're forced into doing stealth and you can't kill anybody for quite a bit of the level. I did not have a lot of fun with those. I like stealth games, mostly when you're just going around like taking people out and then dragging them away, like hiding the body. I find that fun, but I do not find it fun when a game that the entire time has been about action just basically turns into, oh, you got to be quiet, you got to be stealthy. I don't like that because it feels very forced and it's very clunky. For a game from 2012, the stealth system is basically just the same one from like the Wolfenstein games where there really isn't a stealth system. It's basically you crouch to sneak, you throw rocks in order to distract people, and you shoot with suppressed weapons. I did have an issue with that because there are certain weapons that have silencers or that you can end up attaching a silencer to them where it doesn't at times characters will be alerted anyway. It's a very middle of the road stealth system that fucked me over multiple times. Especially if you miss one shot while um you're like trying to stealthily take out a depot, which is when there's a bunch of enemies in an area. If you alert any of them, they'll try to call for reinforcements. And then after you kill them all, you capture the depot and you basically have a new checkpoint. A lot of those ended up getting fucked up because I missed the person's head or I missed hitting them. And even if you land all the shots on them, they'll still be alerted because you mainly have to go for headshots during these parts, which is a bit of a chore, especially with characters that don't have body armor. One shot should to the chest should be fine. Um, the vehicles, I think the vehicles handled fine. I liked the vehicle handling here better than in GTA 5, which I wish GTA 5 had a vehicle handling more like 4. Decently realistic enough. Um, One of the things I do think the Dunia 2 engine, which is what this runs on, which is basically it's the same engine that Far Cry 2 ran on, but it's modified. Um, which Far Cry 2 again was an impressive looking game for the time, as was this, and I think this game still has some nice color. It's definitely very nice and vibrant and good looking. Um, the Dunia 2 engine, while it has its flaws, and I'll talk about those, um, one thing it really gets right is the fire and the weather effects that look really, really good and really nice. Uh, the fire, the flamethrower, I ended up just like many times, just like, oh, finding a random weed field and spraying the flamethrower and having fun watching the fire spread. Um, Apparently, the flamethrower is in the other games, so I'm definitely happy to try that out. Um, I'm not 100% sure if I'll review all 6 Far Cry games, including New Dawn or Primal or any of the other fucking games. But I don't know, I want to do something a little different. The Dunia 2 engine does have issues, though. Ubisoft is infamous for their games being glitchy as shit. The glitches I encountered were mostly there were certain bits where my progress was halted by an invisible wall, which I was not happy with. Um, the There would be times where I'm climbing up the radio towers that you have to climb up in order to um, open up the map and show you where all the roads are and everything, where I'd hop up to a ledge and then it would fling me off the tower because the detection was wonky. Um, I think about 4 times during my entire playthrough the game just randomly crashed, which is not good in a game that where the checkpoints at times are so few and far between, especially in the second half where the checkpoints literally it's not a second half, but the second the third the last third of the game basically is on this other island. And there's a bit where you're supposed to keep like walking across these bridges and taking out these bad guys. It kind of takes a bit longer than it should. Where the checkpoint is like 5 minutes, like you have to redo this like 5 to 10 minute part, and if you die before taking out all the bad guys, you have to go to all the way like 10 minutes before, and it was really annoying. Bad checkpoint design. Um, what else? There were times where textures wouldn't load for minutes on end. I don't really understand why were using this engine. I for a bit I thought it was a modified Crytek engine because they have the thing where you can shoot the trees and the limbs will fall, and it kind of felt similar, but I guess it's not. But yeah, other than that, the engine looks really nice. I did have some issues running the game, as in, like, sometimes the frame rate would dip horribly, especially during bits where you're doing a lot of shooting and when you're on like a turret shooting at a bunch of bad guys. Um, but for the most part, the frame rate was fine. Apparently, the fourth one it's worse. I don't know yet. I did recently get it, so we'll be trying it out. Um, a lot of breath, sorry. But yeah, like it I do think it is a fun game, but I do think they should have switched it up a bit. In kind of a similar way that the James Bond games did, where they had like, ooh, couple shooting sections, uh, then a car chase segment, and then a stealth segment. And even though the stealth segments are my least favorite part of Nightfire, it still changed up the game quite a bit. The stealth sections in the Far Cry console version are definitely better than the PC version. The PC version is insanely wonky because the Gold Source engine is not meant for that. Especially this engine is not, the Dunia 2 engine is not meant for stealth, but the stealth for the most part was very satisfying once you did get it down. Um, the difficulty curve was definitely annoying, where it just randomly ramped up, where I wasn't having as many issues, and then I got to the new island and there were tons of enemies with flamethrowers, and there's not really a clear way to take them out quickly or stealthily unless you have a certain perk. And I'm not huge on the skill tree thing. I think that limiting skills until later in the game is a very big mistake for a lot of these games, especially limiting things where it's like, oh, you can take out a armored enemy with a stealth thing, which would literally be limiting the amount of options you'd have to stealthily take out a depot or a post. But yeah, what else can I talk about? The endings are kind of bleh. You either have, oh, you can save your friends, or you can end up sleeping with Citra, this like who turns out to be like Voss's sister, and then she stabs you, and then you're alive somehow after you've like slit your girlfriend's throat. But like, other than that, like, it did I enjoy the game? Yes. Did I get very frustrated, especially with the ending level of the game? Yes. I hated the way they did it, where it's like, oh, the girlfriend's like bitching at me, and then it's like, oh, choose between your girlfriend or me. I found that really annoying. I found the girlfriend character very annoying, and I did end up sacrificing her because the entire movie, it's or entire game, it's like, oh, look at you with all these tattoos and guns. I don't even know you anymore, and it's like, bitch, I just saved you from pirates and you're not thanking me really. You're saying, "Oh, I don't know this person." Um, what were you doing? Oh yeah, you were sitting here on this boat under this professor's house who is protecting you again. So yeah, I did find it kind of annoying, but I understand where it's coming from because I definitely wasn't a fan of the character. But other than that, I do enjoy the game. But that last level when you're on the helicopter, there's so much unfair shit that happens. There are RPGs being shot at you where there's no time to react because you can't turn the turret fast enough to them, or they're just out of frame and you can't get them. But yeah, other than that, I did enjoy the game. I recommend it, but beware that the last third of the game is insanely hard, frustratingly hard, and yeah. Um, but yeah, that was my review of Far Cry 3. If you've played the game, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. If there's any games y'all might want to see me review or play, mostly short games though, because I don't want to spend a ton of time on a game I don't like. Put those down there as well, and movie reviewer next door out.